Hi Flosstube, this is Liz, the in-hand stitcher, and I am here with episode number 5 of my Flosstube. If you are starting at the beginning and working your way through, you'll notice that episode number 3 is lost for all eternity. I was uploading my last one and there was some kind of glitch in my app, and I had episode 3 listed twice. One of them, it was like stuck loading, and the other one was already loaded, and so I made the mistake of deleting the glitchy one, and they're both gone, and everything was already off of my phone. So we are going 1, 2, 4, 5. Number 3 was limited edition, so if you were quick to it, you got to see it. If not, then that's just too bad. You missed some good things and you'll never be able to see them again. I'm sorry. Today's Thursday, March 30th. We're almost into April. It's cold here in Pennsylvania today. It hasn't gotten out of the 40s, I think, today. So it has been warming up some into the 50s, and I think it hit 60 a couple times, and those days are really nice. But once it dips back down for the cold days, it makes them feel even colder. So that's where we are today, but I think this weekend it'll be nice. It might rain some on Saturday. Trout season opens on Saturday and my boys are excited to go. They might end up getting wet, but I think the temperature will be nice and warm for them at least. I feel like my brain is a little bit scattered today, so if my eyes are like looking all around me, I'm just trying to think of what I want to say, and I'm sure I'll forget things or speak out of order, and oh well, we'll just have to keep rolling with it. So I have 2 finishes. I have a new start, a couple whips. I've got lots of previous finishes I wanted to show you today, and I have a little bit of haul to share. I normally won't share a whole lot of haul, I don't think, but I did get a few things in the last week or two that I wanted to share with you. So I am just going to go ahead and start and show you the stitching. So I'm going to start with my finishes. I had 2 finishes, like I said. The first one is the Cardinal Sampler by the Twisted Threads. This was a winter trio pattern. I finished the cardinal section of this. I've already finished the snow section, and there's one more snowman that was part of it. I haven't worked on him in a while, but here's the Cardinal Sampler all finished. So then after I finished that one, I pulled out the next piece in my rotation. It was another smallish one, Welcome to the Nut House. I think this was by Waxing Moon Designs. I did all of the house and about half of the letters. This brown really kind of fades in with the background color, but that's okay. This really wasn't my favorite piece to begin with, so it doesn't bother me too much that it didn't come out perfectly. The house actually was pretty fun to stitch. The giant squirrel, not as much. There's a tag on my linen. It says that, won't be able to see that. It says it's 28 count Sage Lugana. It's kind of a brown color. Welcome to the Nut House. My house is kind of this yellow color, but we have the maroon shutters instead of blue. All right, those are my 2 finishes. I had a new start, so I told myself that since I finished 2 things, and I didn't really love either one of the patterns, but I stuck to it and I finished them, so I got to reward myself with a new start. I started the last piece in this book that I wanted to stitch. If you'll remember last time I finished this, I started this, and I just now started Sweet Land of Liberty. I think that's what it's called. I'm never sure when I go to film. Yeah, Sweet Land of Liberty. I'm always sure before I film. But as soon as I am on the camera, then I get Flosstube brain, I guess. So this is what it will look like. I'm not positive how I'll finish it yet. They have it finished and on like a candlestick pedestal. I might do a pillow. I don't know. We'll see. So I got pretty far. I finished the flower pot, I finished the top border, and I got a really good start on the house. And most of the letters at the numbers at the bottom. So you can see I got the start of the windows in. There are white flowers in here that you'll never be able to see on my linen. I'm not sure if I'm gonna stitch over them with like maybe a light yellow color or just let it be, just leave them alone. I'm not sure yet. But I really like the blue colors for the house. I think that's gonna look really nice. Last time I was on Flosstube, I had started every opening flower with thy needle and thread. Here's a reminder of what this one looks like. I got a good start on it last time, and I said I wanted to keep working on it. And I did, and I finished the first page. This is on 40 count Dirty Teacup Linen by Needle and Flax. Very pretty. So that's what one page done looks like. Now, if I'm working on a thread and it naturally leads to the next page, I will continue the thread on the next page. It's not like I say, nope, that's page 2, I'm not stitching that, but I don't start any new threads on the second page. I only start all the threads on the first page, if that makes sense. This has some eyelet stitches in it. Will it focus? These are all done in hand. Someone had asked me last time if I did my eyelets in hand. Yes, I do everything in hand. You have to be careful. I don't know why it won't focus. You have to be careful with what direction you're pulling your threads. So when you do an eyelet, you're going through that center. It's basically like you go around and around and around and around and around and around, and eventually it pulls that hole open. But that last one, so like if you're up here for your last one and you're pulling it this direction, you don't want to go then and pull your thread down here for your next stitch, because then that'll make a weird stitch in your eyelet. So what I did is, I don't know if you'll be able to see this at all, I'm not sure. So after I did my last stitch on the eyelet, this is not going to focus at all. But so my last stitch was always up in a corner. I would take my thread, pull it up, and with my needle I would stick it back behind one of the stitches that were above it in the direction that the thread should pull. And then I would take my thread down. So it still had that tension pulling it up because I pulled it up and tucked it behind, and then I went down to the next one. I don't know if that's correct or not. It's just the way that I found to make it look nice. And I have got a little bit of a sneaky start on my April page for my Heaven and Earth Designs As the Leaves Turn. This is my yearly, my year project, my focus for the year. Every month I do a page. I finish a page a month. It will not get me to the end of the project by the end of the year. That's not going to happen, but it will give me a good start on the project at least, and I'll have some progress on it. Normally, normally on this piece, by the time I'm getting close to a page finish, I can't finish it fast enough. I just want to be done with it so I can pull out something else and work on something. But every month so far, it gets to the end of the month. It's been 2 or 3 weeks since I've worked on this, and I miss it. I want to work on it again, so I've been pulling it out a few days early to get a head start on it. And so I've already pulled it out in April and March and started on my April page. Well, April is going to be this block up here in the top. I'm not sure why my light keeps randomly blowing. So I did all this right here, this line here, and that was all just in the last couple days. So here's something interesting, a tree. This month is just sky. So it does feel kind of sad to get back to a block of just sky after getting a little bit of a tease last month with something exciting like a tree. Believe it or not, one day there will be buildings and people and more trees and pumpkins in this pattern, and so I'll get more than just blue. I'm ready for that. I'm excited. That was everything I've worked on since the last time I was on Flosstube. I do have a stack of previous finishes that I wanted to share with you. 3 of them are from one Blackbird book, and excuse me, I have several freebies. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 freebies to share you that I've completed. So we're gonna start with the Blackbird patterns that I've finished. These are from the Sewing Club book. I've already showed you Willing Hands from that book, and last week I also showed you Rose Hips and Ivy from that book. That was the drum that I am scared to sew. But here are 3 more that I've also completed from that book. The first one is Garden Friends sewing bag. So this is not going to be a sewing bag. I'm just going to finish it as a pillow. I serged it and have all these long serge threads still on it. They can just be clipped. That's not a big deal. So Garden Friends sewing bag. He's really cute. She's really cute. I'm not sure. I don't grow hollyhocks. Maybe I should. I think hollyhocks were ones that they would always plant by the outhouse so that when they had company, I might be completely wrong. I might be telling you a story that's not true. But I think back in the old days, they would plant hollyhocks by the outhouse so that when they had company, they would just look for the tall hollyhock flowers, and they knew that that's where the outhouse was. I'm not sure where I heard that, but I did hear it, and so I'm sharing it with you. Next, I have the My Home scissor box. I'm not going to make it into a scissor box. It's also going to be a pillow. This is on a blue fabric, and I think it's Witchell. It's really stiff. Like you can hear it. If I tap it, you could hear how stiff it is. And I'll show it to you next to the other so you can kind of see, maybe you'll be able to see the color. Yeah, so it's like this light blue. You can see I finished it several years ago and haven't done anything with it, but maybe this summer both of these will be turned into pillows and maybe they'll go in a bowl together. And I finished one more from this book, Tiny Treetops, Rose or Thyme. That's quite the name. I'm not sure how they thought of that one. Tiny Treetops, Rose or Thyme. I might frame this one. Seems a little long for a pillow finish, which is usually my go-to, but this one's pretty. I like the border. They look like butterflies. And I've got, let me show you my freebies I wanted to talk about. Like I said, there are 4 of them. I have a book that I wrote what they were called on, so I can tell you true facts. So the first one I'm going to show you is from La-Di-Da. I actually have 2 from La-Di-Da. The first one is the Freebie Alphabet with Hair. These are available on the La-Di-Da website. So if you like these, they are free. You can even just Google La-Di-Da freebies and they'll come up. So my finish on this, I didn't make a very good decision for my thread. It really blends in and it's hard to see what's going on with it. I think if I would have used a starker white instead of this kind of off-white taupey color, I'd probably be able to see it a little better. Pink or red or probably anything but the one that I picked, really. But it was a free pattern and it was fun to stitch at least. So this was La-Di-Da Freebie Alphabet with Hair. Really nice for spring. And I also have La-Di-Da Tiny Sampler. I think I've seen a few other people stitching this one this spring. I did this a few years ago, I think. It is cute. It's tiny. It's really little. I don't see a date on it. Okay, I stitched Lindy Stitches Peter's Day Out. This is not called for. This is just, I looked in my thread box and picked colors that I thought might work. And he's cute. I think some of these I picked up from my LNS. They had some already printed and cut out for you when you went in. You could just take a freebie with you. So I think that's where some of those came from. I also have a Satsuma Street freebie. This was Happy Sunshine. I do remember where I got this one. This one came from a Stitchin' at Stitchin' Stuff in Reading when they were open. Whenever they had Stitchins, they would give you a little kit to work on, and this was one. Can't say this was my favorite piece, but I had it. I had the threads, so I just stitched it. I'm not sure what I'll do with it. I thought I had spilled coffee on it at some point, but I don't see any coffee on it, do you? Maybe I'm thinking of a different one and I'll be horrified when I find it. I don't remember. I thought it was this one. All right, I've got two more previous finishes I wanted to show you today. I have Tralala. This is called Amour de Lapins. They're cute. I don't know if I've told you guys that I have a rabbit. And I really only got him for one reason, and that was to amend my garden. And those of you that know what I'm talking about. My kids like him. His name is Grover Cleveland. Remember, I named my animals after presidents and their wives. So this one, we went with Grover. And he is all gray. He's a big bunny. When we got him last year, he was really cute. He was really splotchy. So this kind of rabbit that I have, when they're born black, like all black fur, really soft. And then as they grow, they lose the black, like in patches. So he was part black and part gray and really interesting looking. And I didn't know very much about him when I bought him. So when I bought him, I thought he was going to stay that way. And, but no, I did some research and found out that they lose the black and turn all gray when they're fully grown. So now he's just gray. He lost his cute black, but he still does the job. So back to the stitching. I like these guys. I should finish them sometime. I can, just like a nice oval frame. They would be cute. And I've got one more finish. This is Farm Fresh Eggs by Teresa Kogut. And this is from her Celebrate book. She doesn't show what the finished patterns look like in this book, except for the two on the cover. So you kind of have to guess what it's gonna look like. But this was one of them, and I liked it. It turned out really nice. And I'll show it to you. Farm Fresh Eggs. I do have chickens. They do give us lots of eggs. For a while they were eating their eggs, and they say you can't train them out of that, and I was kind of ready to just like sell them off and just buy a new bunch of chickens and start fresh. But somehow over the winter they broke themselves of it, and for the most part, every once in a while there's one they've gotten into, but they're not doing that anymore. I don't know if it was a calcium issue, or we did have one that died last year at some point, and I know she was one of them that was really bad for it. So maybe she was the ringleader and the problem has solved itself. I'm not sure. All right, so that was all of my stitching to share with you. I did have some haul. It's way over here. I went to my LNS Stitches Unlimited a couple times. I got some things from there, and I also bought a few patterns secondhand off of Facebook, so I'll share those with you too. But I'll start with the things that I got at Stitches Unlimited. I just had a couple of threads I needed to pick up. So this one I was just about out of, oatmeal. That's for a couple of things I've got going already. And this was the thread that I didn't have for every opening flower. I don't think I'm going to use it, but I wanted it in case another pattern calls for it at another time. It is quite different from the one that I picked to replace it, but I'm so far in it now that I'm not going to I'm not gonna go in and swap it. I'm just gonna keep it the way it is. I have a few patterns. I got the Heartstring Samplery Sunday Stitches book. Now some of these I do already have. I know I have this one. And I feel like I have another one as well, but maybe not. But some of these were also only in this book. Some of them she sells separately. Some of them are only in this book. And I mentioned that I'm going to have a hem wall behind my piano. And so these will help me on my way to creating my hem wall. I think I'm going to start with this one. I like the flowers on here, the Blessed Assurance. And then I also liked this one here in the garden. Yeah, I haven't started any of those yet, but I will. I bought the United We Stand. I mentioned last time that I had purchased this book, but I figured I'd share it since I'm showing the other things as well. I thought about starting this pattern instead of Sweet Land of Liberty, but I decided just to finish off that other book because there's only that one pattern left I wanted to stitch. So I figured I would finish that book off and then maybe dig into this one. And I also picked up, what's it called? My Home Sweet Home, Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. I'm trying to hold it so you don't just see the ring light. I like the flag, I like the house, I like the bird. I like everything about this one. And I picked up some fabric. This is R&R Vintage Homespun 36 count. Just a fat quarter. So let's see, next to some other fabrics, you can tell it's kind of a darker shade of, I don't know, beigey, grayish, gray beige, maybe a little green in there too. Color is hard for me to explain. Does anybody else see something tan or brown or beige and it all kind of, you describe them all the same? I do. I don't know what I'm using that for yet, but I'm sure I'll use it on something. And I have four patterns I picked up on Facebook secondhand, and I will share them here. I have to take it out. This is Plum Street Samplers in Friendship. That is not much better, is it? Still in Friendship. There we go. What does it say? How much to be prized and esteemed is a friend on whom we may always with safety depend. I really liked the sheep and the swans. That's a little better. Turn it down. Oh, that's much better for color. And Friendship. Next, Visit from Spot by Kathy Barrick. I think I can get away with this one, not pulling it out, kind of. I liked the horse. I like the border. I like her yellow dress. This one will be fun. Another Kathy Barrick, the Dutch Sampler. I saw this one finished recently on Instagram. I really like that like mustardy yellow color. It makes the white really pop on it. It looks cool. I'm holding it sideways because if I hold it straight on, it's a really tall stork. And one more. This is Rosewood Manor, As Ye Sow. I had not seen this one before. It says it's the revised edition. I don't know what the original one was. So I bought it because I liked this colorful alphabet here. And I liked these flowers. This row of flower pots right here seemed very blackbird to me. So, very colorful. I wish this was easier to film patterns, but we work with what we got. All right, that's all of my stitching to share with you. I did want to mention that my husband and I went out a week ago I think, and we got some more fruit trees for our backyard. So we now have 2 peach, 2 apple, a sour cherry, 2 pears, and we just bought 2 plums. So I am excited to get some fruit from there. We have only gotten fruit regularly from the peach trees, and they're still babies. So we only get, you know, a basket full of little golf ball peaches. So I know to thin the peaches, but we still haven't had a really good harvest of them. So I'm excited to see what it does this year. I feel like I'm excited every year, but we've gotten a total of 2 apples, 1 from each tree, and nothing last year from them. The birds ate all my cherries last year, so I'll have to do a net. And the pears were new last year, so they didn't do anything. So I'm hopeful that I'll get some fruit this year, hopefully a lot of fruit. And I also planted a Concord grape, and I hope that takes off and doesn't die, because I want to make some grape jelly and some grape juice. I was at my grandma's house. I might have already told you the story. I don't remember if I did or not. I was at my grandma's house in December, and in her pantry she had grape jelly from the year 2000. And there was an open one in her fridge that someone had started into. So I hope no one died from that. I think I would have heard about it if they did, but that's really old. I don't think anything in my house would last quite that many years, but it was just her and my granddad, and so I don't know, maybe she just didn't have the energy to clean it out. I'm going to share a video at the end here. This is another old video. I shared a couple of old ones last time. This one is of Titus. He went to the hardware store several years ago, and he saw a shovel that he had to have. It was a nice short shovel. I think it might have folded in half. I don't remember. It's been a long time, but he thought that shovel was really cool and he wanted it. And so we told him that, I think we told him that if you can save the money for it or something like that, that he could buy it. And so he had a plan for that. He decided he was going to sell some art. And so you'll get to see that in the video. So enjoy. Thanks for coming to spend some time with me. Thanks for watching the whole video if you're still here. I hope to see you again next time. See ya.
This one was made to look like my dad being really grumpy. This one was made to look like Sam. And then this is just like splattered paint. And this was made to look like the sun. And Sammy made this one, which is just a big pile of paint. And this
Oh, wait,
one,
is it paint? Tell her what it is.
well, it's actually mud. And then Sammy made that one and that one. And then I made this one to look like the American flag. And this one I made to look like my mom. And all of them are $5 each.
Okay, so I just finished filming my Flosstube. I went to put my things away, and I remembered I didn't tell you the end of the story with Titus's art in the shovel. So he wanted me to film that to share with his aunt and uncle because they wanted to know what he was selling, what their options were, because they wanted to help him out. And my husband's boss, I think, saw it on Facebook, and he was kind enough to give Titus all of the money he needed to buy the shovel because he thought it was cute, or he liked that he was trying to earn money. He thought that he was being a good entrepreneur, so he just bought the shovel for him. So he did end up with the shovel. I don't know that he sold much. I think maybe some family bought a couple of those mud paintings, but yeah, it had a happy ending. He got the shovel.